While today we sit inside closed cars, listening to the soft sound of heating, watching rain or snow through glass without feeling it, travel in the distant past was a harsh, cold, and exhausting act beyond imagination. Today, we complain about traffic, short delays, or uncomfortable seats. In the Middle Ages, the road itself was the enemy. Winter was not just a season back then. Winter was a long test. The air was cold from early morning, fog rested heavily on the ground, and the sky felt low and gray. The earth was sometimes frozen, sometimes soaked with mud, and every step required extra effort. At the beginning of history, there was no transportation at all. People walked, nothing but their own feet, step after step over uneven ground, through mud, stones, and narrow paths. In winter, the cold slowly crept into the fingers, the toes, the joints. Clothing was simple, few layers, not enough to block the wind, not enough to keep warmth inside. At first, the body did not notice the cold. Then movement became heavier, slower. Pain followed quietly. Today, we walk for a few minutes and then ride. Back then, distance was measured in fatigue, not in kilometers. A journey that now takes an hour once required days of slow, difficult movement. As evening approached, light faded quickly. Winter did not allow much time. Night arrived early, and with it, deeper cold. The wind grew sharper. Silence became heavier. There were no places meant for rest. Sometimes a large tree, sometimes a rock that blocked part of the wind. Sleep was never real sleep. Only short moments of closing the eyes while the body remained tense from the cold. Today, we close a door and feel safe. In the past, there was no door, no wall, no roof to protect against the freezing air. With time, humans began using horses. It felt like progress. But the horse also suffered. It stopped often. White breath escaped its nose into the cold air, and the road remained the same. Cold, quiet, unforgiving. Wooden carts were not comfortable. They shook with every stone. The wood was cold. The seat was hard. The wind entered from every side. In winter, sitting still inside a cart made the cold stronger. Feet slowly lost feeling. Fingers stiffened. Fire was not always available. Today, when we feel cold, we adjust the temperature. Back then, there were no settings. Cold was constant, unchanging. The road was not only long, but silent. A heavy silence broken only by wind, wheels, and tired breathing. Thoughts slowed, as if the cold froze the mind as much as the body. Reaching the destination was never guaranteed. Every journey was a risk. Every night on the road was another encounter with cold, exhaustion, and waiting. Travel by sea, however, was entirely different. It was not less harsh, but colder, more uncertain, and more exhausting for both body and mind. The sea had no roads, no signs, and no solid ground to offer reassurance. Wooden ships moved slowly across heavy water. Their planks were soaked with moisture, cold to the touch, and always slippery. The wind never truly stopped, and even on calm days, sea air carried a deep cold that slipped beneath clothing and stayed there. In the morning, fog often wrapped the sea completely. The horizon disappeared. Sky and water blended into a single gray surface, quiet and unsettling. The sound of waves became the only rhythm of the journey. The waves were not always violent, but they were constant, strike after strike against the side of the ship. A repeated, slow, heavy sound. With every impact, the wood trembled and released a low creak, as if the ship itself was suffering from cold and fatigue. In winter, The wind was harsher. Cold, salty air cut into the face and hands. Breathing became harder, and the nose burned from the chill. Clothes became wet quickly, and nothing ever fully dried. Today, we travel in warm, enclosed, quiet ships. Back then, the deck was open. There was no roof to block the rain, no walls to stop the wind. Only open sea, low sky, and endless cold. Night at sea felt longer, colder, lonelier. Darkness surrounded the ship from every direction, with nothing visible except faint reflections of stars on moving water. The ship felt small, fragile, lost within the cold vastness. Sleep was never true sleep. Travelers slept while shivering. They turned slowly on hard wooden planks. They curled their bodies inward, trying to preserve what little warmth remained. The sound of wind never stopped. The sound of waves never rested. Each strong wave against the ship's side startled the body awake. Fear was not loud, but quiet and slow, much like the cold itself. Fear of falling, fear of drowning, fear that the night would last longer than it should. Today, when the weather turns bad, we delay travel. In the past, delay was not always possible. The sea was crossed as it was, cold, dark, indifferent to those upon it. Water sometimes seeped between the planks, not enough to flood the ship, but enough to keep feet wet. And wet feet in the cold tired the body quickly. They lost feeling. They became another burden on an already exhausted body. Time at sea moved slowly. Nothing changed. The same color, the same sound, the same wind. Hours passed heavily, as if they did not wish to end. And the ship continued forward, slowly, through waves, through wind, through the long, enduring cold. Travel by land and travel by sea were different in shape, but similar in suffering. Both demanded patience, endurance, and acceptance of cold as a constant companion. Whether walking across frozen roads or standing on a wooden deck above dark water, the body faced the same enemy, exposure. On land, the cold came from the ground. It rose slowly through the feet, climbed the legs, and settled deep into the joints. On sea, the cold came from everywhere at once, from the wind, from the water, from the damp air that never rested. A traveler on land could sometimes stop, lean against a tree, find a rock to block part of the wind. At sea, there was no stopping. The ship moved even when the body begged for rest. Today, if a road is difficult, we choose another route. If the sea is rough, we wait. In the past, choice was limited. The road was the road. The sea was the sea. On land, the journey was slow and heavy. Each step required effort. Mud clung to shoes, snow hid the path. The body warmed slightly while moving, only to freeze again the moment it stopped. At sea, movement did not bring warmth. Standing still or moving made little difference. The wind cut through motion itself. The cold did not wait. Night on land brought silence, a deep, empty quiet broken only by wind through trees or distant animal sounds. Night at sea brought sound without end, waves striking wood, ropes creaking, the ship breathing and groaning under pressure. A traveler on land slept lightly, always aware of the ground beneath, the hardness, the unevenness, the cold pulling heat away from the body. Sleep came in fragments. At sea, sleep was even thinner. The body moved with the ship, never still, never fully relaxed. The floor shifted constantly, reminding the sleeper that nothing beneath them was solid. Today, we sleep during travel without thinking, in seats designed for comfort, wrapped in warmth. In the past, sleep was a struggle against cold and fear. On land, storms slowed the journey. Rain turned paths into rivers of mud. Snow erased direction. At sea, storms transformed the journey into survival. Waves grew taller, wind screamed louder, cold water sprayed across the deck, soaking everything it touched. On land, clothes dried slowly near weak fires. At sea, nothing dried, ever. Wet fabric stayed wet. Cold stayed cold. A traveler on land watched the sky carefully. Clouds meant danger. Darkness meant stopping. At sea, the sky offered little warning. Fog could swallow everything without notice. Night could feel endless. Today, we track journeys by time, minutes, hours, delays. In the past, journeys were measured by endurance, by how long the body could continue before failing. On land, pain settled into muscles. At sea, pain spread into bones. The damp cold found places movement could not warm. Both journeys shared one truth: slowness. Nothing moved quickly. Progress was patient, uncertain, often invisible. Today, distance feels small. Back then, distance felt endless. A few miles on land felt like days. A stretch of sea felt like an eternity of cold wind and rolling water. Whether crossing frozen ground or dark waves, traveling carried the same quiet exhaustion. A deep tiredness that settled not just in the body, but in the mind. Thoughts slowed, speech faded. Only movement remained. And so land and sea were connected by hardship, different paths, different sounds, the same cold, the same patience, the same long waiting for warmth that rarely came. Now, there is nothing left to think about. The night is quiet. The air is still. Your body is heavy. Let your thoughts slow down. Let the sounds fade away. There is no need to hold on to anything. If your eyes are still open, let them rest. If they are already closed, let them stay that way. The night is long and safe and calm. May your dreams be soft. May they be slow and far away. Sleep gently, sleep deeply. There is nothing more to do but rest.